The Buffalo Bills schedule has been released. So can the Bills have the same success that they had last season? Find out my thoughts coming up. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another video of Sports Talk Buffalo. The NFL has recently released all of their schedules for all of the teams in the NFL. So now that we know who the Bills are playing and what their schedule looks like, let's go over each game and make a prediction on how I think this season will go for the Buffalo Bills. We start with Week 1. Buffalo opens the season against Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday Night Football. And in my opinion, this game is a toss-up, much like games in the past. I think, however, that Baltimore avenges their loss in the playoffs last season to the Buffalo Bills, and they come out of this one with a victory, giving the Bills their first loss of the season, giving their Bills the first loss to start the season. However, as I said, this is a toss-up game. So that means if the Buffalo Bills can stop Derrick Henry and they can get a lead early, they will be in very good shape to potentially beat the Baltimore Ravens. But as of right now, I have the Bills losing to the Ravens in Week 1. Moving on to week number 2 and the New York Jets. The Bills play at New York. Buffalo did have some trouble last year in New York. However, New York does not have the same quarterback, and I have the Buffalo Bills winning this game fairly easily. Week 3 versus the Miami Dolphins. This is Thursday Night Football, so the Bills will be coming in on a very short week of rest and being able to game plan for Miami. I think that because of that short week, the Bills and Miami will have a very close game. I think the Bills will struggle in this game. However, I still think Buffalo finds a way to beat the Miami Dolphins at home on Thursday Night Football. Going into week number 4 versus the New Orleans Saints. Now, obviously, Derek Carr has an injury, and then he announces his retirement. So Buffalo will either face Rattler or Show. I think that's how you say his name, the recently drafted second-round quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. And I really don't think New Orleans has a shot in this one. I think the Buffalo Bills win this one fairly easily. Moving along to week number 5 versus the New England Patriots. Buffalo ends this 3-game homestand against the New England Patriots and second-year QB Drake May as he comes into Buffalo. Now, he had a pretty decent game against the Buffalo Bills, and he did show flashes of being a pretty solid quarterback last year, did Drake May. So the Patriots went out and they acquired or signed Stephon Diggs. Now, he's not the Diggs of old. He is coming off of a pretty significant knee injury. He is another year older. However, he is still a dangerous weapon. And I think that they give the Bills a little bit more problems than we had probably bargained for. However, I still think the Buffalo Bills take this one, ending their 3-game home streak, or ending their 3-game homestand on a win, and also a 3-game winning streak. 4-game winning streak. Heading into Week 6, the Buffalo Bills head to Atlanta for Monday Night Football. And young QB Michael Penix Jr., he started all last 3 games of last season. So he is likely still going to be entering a learning curve this year. I don't really see the Buffalo Bills having a ton of problems on Monday Night Football against the Atlanta Falcons. The Buffalo Bills win this one walking away. Now in Week 7, the Bills have a relatively early bye week in this one that doesn't really bode well usually for things like injuries and getting prepared for the playoffs potentially. So we'll see how that shakes out for the Buffalo Bills having that early bye week. Now coming off the bye week, the Bills play at Carolina. And under Sean McDermott, the Buffalo Bills are 7-0 coming off of the bye week. The opponent doesn't really matter. The Bills, I think, will continue that streak and stomp out the Carolina Panthers, adding yet another win to that win column. Now going to Week 9 versus the Kansas City Chiefs, the yearly meeting against the Kansas City Chiefs. It always seems to be on the schedule. This is the 5th year in a row. The Buffalo Bills had beaten the Kansas City Chiefs in the previous 4 regular season games that they played against the Chiefs. However, I think this season it changes. I think the Bills lose to Kansas City at home this year, snapping that 4-game regular season winning streak against the Chiefs. Moving along to week number 10 against the Miami Dolphins. And much like the first game, the Bills will be playing a pretty desperate Miami team as a lot has come out about potential changes. Wide receiver Tyreek Hill potentially asking out of Miami, the whole 9 yards. A lot is on the line this season for the Miami Dolphins and their quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. So I think they're going to be a very desperate team all season long, or at least they should be. However, I still think the Bills win a close game in Miami. Now, week number 11, the Bills come back home versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I believe this game is going to be a shootout as both offenses are very, very good. They both scored over 500 points last season, with Buffalo in this game, however, edging out the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to chalk up another W for the Bills. Week 12 at Houston, I think the Bills are able to avenge their 23-20 loss last season against the Houston Texans. I think Josh Allen has a great game against the Texans, and this is what pushes Buffalo to yet another W. Week 13 at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, the Steelers still at this point of recording do not have a true number one quarterback, as it is Mason Rudolph who is slated to be their starting quarterback as the season starts. I think Buffalo wins this game pretty easily, as Pittsburgh likely will not have the firepower to hang with the Buffalo Bills in this game. Heading over to Week 14 versus the Cincinnati Bengals as Joe Burrow and his potent offense comes to town. However, I think it is Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills winning this game in a back-and-forth affair. Moving ahead to week number 15 at the New England Patriots. This game, the Buffalo Bills will win this game and sweep the New England Patriots this season. And it is Drake May's second full year. I still think the Bills will be a little bit too much for him to handle. And even though he did show some flashes, I don't know how good or bad he might be as this season continues. Week 16 at the Cleveland Browns. I still believe the Browns will struggle quite a bit this year. They took 2 quarterbacks in this NFL draft. So usually when you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. And I think the Buffalo Bills will win this game walking away in week 16. Now, week 17, it is versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, not only every year is something different, but not only did the Eagles have a incredible offense last year, they also had a very, very, very good defense. And again, this game is going to be a toss-up, but I do have the Philadelphia Eagles beating the Buffalo Bills in a close game in Orchard Park. Now, Week 18, there is no time for this game. It is to be determined. However, I think the Buffalo Bills end the season with a win, sweeping the AFC East and closing out what is the last regular season game at Highmark Stadium, as the Buffalo Bills in 2026 will open up in their brand new $2+ million stadium. The Bills will get give a final gift in the regular season as they are able to sweep the AFC East and beat the New York Jets to close out a big chapter in the Buffalo Bills history. This gives the Buffalo Bills a record of 14-3. I think that will be good enough to win the 1 seed in the AFC. That's going to be my prediction for this season, guys. Let me know what you think. Where do you think I might be right? Where do you think I might be wrong? Let me know in the comments section below, guys. Is this the year the Buffalo Bills finally get that 1 seed and finally get over the hump and make it to the Super Bowl for the first time in more than 2 decades, more than 3 decades, in 3 decades. Well, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Once again, remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you guys never miss a video. I talk Bills, Sabres, and the University at Buffalo men's basketball and football teams right here on this page. I want to thank you guys all for watching, and as always, have a fantastic week.